So, things got very interesting last night. And ESPN, to their credit, I don't know, is it to their credit? Am I taking a slap here? I don't know. They sold what happened yesterday as it relates to the Roger Goodell contract as a confrontation between Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft. Don't F-K with me, is what Jones reportedly said to Kraft.
Congratulations on your wedding.
They didn't really, I don't think Jerry was at the wedding. They didn't really focus on capturing why Jerry Jones was upset. The story did, but it really played up the Jones versus Kraft thing, and I get it. Media wants to generate attention, and there's something inherently interesting about a couple of octogenarians dropping F-bombs on each other.
Wow, that's a big word there. What's that? Say that again. I don't know that word.
Octogenarian. That has nothing to do with anything you may find at the bottom of the ocean. That is someone who is, although one of these folks may end up there at some point, who knows? That's a joke.
Luca Brasi swimming with the fishes.
Although Google Carol Rosenblum, and maybe it's not. But anyone in their 80s, octogenarian.
Gotcha. I did not know that. That's a new one for me right there. So that's good. That's good. And wait, it's these
public
two.
School system has failed you yet again.
It is octogenarians or billionaires or whatever the hell you want to call them. These two, though, I think where it's awesome is just that, we know they're, but these are, I don't know, Mike, you tell me if I'm wrong. These are still the two most powerful owners in the game, right? I mean, these are the guys that I think are kind of the oligarchs of the oligarchs as far as the NFL is concerned. So that's where it's interesting to see Jones and Kraft go at it against each other too.
Others would fancy themselves to be equally influential, like John Mara, Art Rooney.
Sure,
But Kraft and Jones are the two that stand out for a very important reason. One won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years.
Right.
The other won 6 in 18. And I think there's a natural rivalry there. There's a resentment there. There's a jealousy there, although you have to act like you're above being jealous of anyone when you're a multi-billionaire. But they still size each other up. And Jones is in the Hall of Fame. Kraft isn't. Kraft has 6 championships under his time with the Patriots. Jones only has 3. Jones is the GM. Kraft isn't involved. I mean, there's all sorts of differences that they can point to, and, they're not going to be so petty as to articulate it, but that's what underpins the friction.
Right.
And what really underpinned this is all coming from, and this went down 5 years ago, when Jerry Jones was aggressively trying to keep Roger Goodell from getting a new contract and at some level trying to get rid of Goodell. This was Jones, Dan Snyder, and Papa John, if you remember that.
Oh, I do.
Who ended up getting himself kicked out of his own company that he started as a result of a chain of events that I think began with him gratuitously pouncing on the NFL. But Jones is back at it again. It's time for a new contract for Roger Goodell, and the owners voted 31-1 yesterday to authorize the compensation committee to negotiate a new deal. Jones was the lone dissenter, and the fact that no one else joined him pissed him off. This is my understanding. This isn't the ESPN reporting. This is what I've learned after the ESPN reporting. Jones got pissed that the cheese stood alone. So Kraft, who's the chair of the compensation committee, got the brunt of it. Other owners got some of it too, I'm told. John Mara, I think he's on the compensation committee. Jimmy Haslam of the Browns, I know he is. So Jones is just pissed off that this thing is going to happen again over his objection that we're just paying the guy too much. I mean, for a guy who's that rich, he is kind of cheap. He'll never fire a coach, for example, if there's time left on his deal. He doesn't want to owe him money to not coach the Cowboys. That's the one thing he has in common with Mike Brown. That's the only thing. But there is a cheap streak for Jerry Jones. He just thinks they're paying Roger Goodell more than they should.
It is
and
that?
He may be right.
Yeah.
He may be right, but he's the only one who's willing to take on that fight.
Yeah, is it that, or does he want somebody new? I mean, and again, I don't know that. I'm just throwing that out there because there was always those thoughts out there too that he just kind of would like to fresh start with a new commissioner altogether. Or is it just strictly the compensation? I mean, I don't have any knowledge there, but I wonder.
I think it can be tied together, Chris, because look at it this way. If you have someone who's been there for as long as Goodell has, and he's used to making a certain amount of money, is he going to take a dramatic financial haircut and be happy in the job? Or is this just an occasion where we say, we're going to reimagine this position altogether, and we're just going to hire somebody and pay them $3 million a year, right? That issue first came up in 2014 during the Ray Rice fiasco, when people were openly talking about, what does the commissioner really do? How hard is it to guide a boat through calm, open waters? Now, I think that really understates how difficult the job is.
I would agree.
But there was a sense that we're paying more than we need to from some. And Jones became the one who carried that notion most aggressively in 2017, and he looks to be the only one who's willing to carry it now. I don't think he's going to die on that hill a second time. He ended up having to pay millions to the league in legal fees because he was threatening litigation, and under the NFL's constitution and bylaws, at the end of the day, they gave him the bill for all the legal fees they incurred as a result of his threat to sue his partners. So he's already been smacked down once for this. I don't know why he would try it again, but he's Jerry Jones. He can do whatever he wants, and if he feels like kicking up a mess, now that he's an octogenarian, he turned 80 last week, what the hell? Hey, what does he care? He's got the money. If they stick him with another legal bill, he'll just pay it and keep going.
Yeah, I know. I guess it's just a little shocking in the fact that, again, is it overcompensation? I mean, maybe. I mean, right? What's the reports out there that he's made over the last 2 years? What was the number? 128 million, right? Over the last 2 years. I mean,
that's the report from the Washington Post.
Right. I mean, that's a crazy number. It is for sure. But he's also, you say what you want, I mean, he's definitely a huge part and responsible for incredible growth to the game. And I'm with you in the fact that, it can't be easy dealing with everybody he's got to deal with. He's got to feel like an on-call doctor at all times. He's always got to put fires out. He's got to make sure this owner's happy, and while I'm making this one happy, I don't piss this guy off. And, of course, the corporation and business relations there that he's got to deal with. So, man, I would think it's an extremely tough job. I mean, no doubt about it. And I guess I'm a little shocked at Jerry Jones' just hardline take on that a little bit, just because, of course, like I'm saying, the NFL is so king of king sports right now, even worldwide. It's not even close. There's no league or anything that can even compare to what the NFL is raking in on a yearly basis. And like him or not, you got to give Roger Goodell some credit for that and where we are as a league right now.
$64 million a year, though, is an obscene amount of money. It's far more than any player makes.
Yeah.
Which has always been the easy comparison. He is paid more than the highest paid player and has been paid more than the highest paid player, and he's been in that job since 2006.
I don't think that's crazy, though. Like, to think that the guy that's the boss of the league makes more than the highest paid player in the league? I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know what other corporation that doesn't go down in. And, yeah, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And look, that's where this may be headed.
Right.
And this is something that's pointed out in my book, Playmakers, a copy of which is laying on the floor in the studio where we're sitting.
Yeah.
But at some point, they may have to get away from the football industry lifer who just wins the competition over a period of 3 or 4 decades to ascend to the throne and go out and hire a CEO. Hire somebody who is in that world, in that space. Hey, I worked at Pepsi, then I worked at IBM, then I worked here. That may be what they need, with someone who knows the inner workings of the league serving as the number 2. That may be where this is headed, because there are some high-level challenges. There are some potential threats out there, and there needs to be a greater exercise of foresight. This is a common refrain of mine. The NFL is very reactive. It's not necessarily proactive. It's rarely proactive. And with some of these threats out there in the intersection of gambling and the sport, they may need to go the CEO route when it's time to move on to the next commissioner. And one of the things that came up months ago, not that many, I'd say 6-7 months ago, as part of his next contract, Roger Goodell is going to be expected to embrace and groom his eventual replacement.
Oh, right.
I think
like Paul Tagliabue did to him, right?
One of the realities of the past 10 years in the NFL, anytime there's somebody at the league office who is emerging as a star and owners are starting to say, hey, potential future commissioner, not long after that, they end up leaving. And I'm not saying it's anything other than coincidence. All I'm saying is it's like clockwork. Someone gets identified as viable potential future commissioner, and they ain't there much longer.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, sometimes the key to staying on top of the mountain is to neutralize any and all threats before they become threats. But at some point, you have to accept the fact that you're not going to do it forever, and you need to leave the organization in a good spot. And so you have someone that you welcome and you groom, and they're ready, and they take over. I think that's going to be part of what this next contract entails. But, yeah, Jerry Jones doesn't want it to be a gigantic pile of money. And I don't know. Look, they're entitled to pay whatever they want to pay. The problem I have with it more than anything else, Chris, they're cheap about other things, like officiating. But things that are far more important to the integrity of the game.
Sure.
And, like, during football season, we used to have a VP of officiating who would be front and center for any and all controversies, and there'd be transparency when it was Mike Pereira or Dean Blandino. And then it became Al Riveron, who was not suited for that function. And now they just don't even bother to try. We don't get media videos. There isn't an appearance on NFL Network once a week to just help people better understand this stuff at a time when it's important that people understand it, because the integrity of the game and the integrity of the wagering on the game is critical. So I think that my biggest problem with Roger Goodell getting $68 million is, if you can pay him that, you can pay the VP of officiating enough so Dean Blandino doesn't say, I'll go work for Fox and make more money. Or these referees who are very good at their jobs don't say, I'll go work at NBC. I'll go work at CBS. I'll go work here. I'll be the rules analyst at this network, make more money, and have a better life experience. At some point, you just got to pay. For the best of the best, you got to pay if you want them there making the calls and helping guide your officiating department instead of jumping to an easier job that pays more money. If it's an easier job that pays more money, that tells me you're not paying enough for your harder and more important job of ensuring that everything is done right.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you said there. I'm with you all the way. It is kind of shocking that they're that way at times, and again, it goes file it under. So yeah, there's some things that you wonder why we don't spend the extra money just to be a little extra buttoned up in the NFL. I think we come to that almost once or twice a week sometimes, where it's just little subjects we find. So it is crazy. All I can think of is, damn, if he made $64 million over the last 2 years, how much did the damn owners make over the last 2 years? That's all I kept thinking when I saw that number.
Plenty. And you know what? We don't know for sure what Roger Goodell makes. We used to, and this still bothers me. During the lockout of 2011, the NFLPA decided to make a political issue out of the NFL's tax-exempt status as a league office. And the reality was the league office was passing the revenue through to the teams, and the teams paid the taxes. And it wasn't a huge difference. There wasn't a huge financial benefit to the league for doing it. So once the union and others started trying to create the false impression that the league just doesn't pay taxes, that the teams don't pay taxes, that nobody's paying taxes, the NFL just said, screw it. We'll change our status as a tax-exempt trade organization, and as a result, we get no transparency as to what the commissioner or other key executives are making anymore. So thanks to everyone out there who allowed this new system to be put in place, where we have no idea how much Roger Goodell, Jeff Pash, Brian Rolap, the other key executives are making. There's no transparency whatsoever. So it's just a report that we rely on, and who knows whether it's true. Maybe he's making more than $64 million a year. We'll never know until they go back to being a tax-exempt status, and I don't think they ever will.
Yeah, that stinks. I know. It does. It's. I wish we did know, because those are juicy numbers that I'd love to know how much they're raking.
We'll never know. We'll never know what the owners are making. The only thing we're ever going to know is what the Green Bay Packers are making.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. But, the profits don't get poured into anyone's pocket. There's no one there to say, hey, I'm going to take X million here or Y million here. I got a yacht that I'm building, for crying out loud. I need about $250 million over the next few years. All right. So the fact that multiple owners have yachts that literally cost $250 million or more tells you that they are making plenty. Whatever the number is, it's a big one. All right, let's take a break. After further review time for Week 6, when we take a look at calls that may have been good, may have not been good, maybe could be better, or whatever else hit our radar screen for Week 6, we'll do that when PFT Live, presented by Google Pixel, continues right after this.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.